People often assume photography is simple. A hobby, a click, a snap. But Kim knows better. Kim walks a line not unlike that of a doctor, a nurse, a firefighter. Because Kim saves moments. Moments on the verge of flatlining. Kim has stared into the abyss of underexposure, faced the chaos of blown highlights, and battled the digital noise of ISO 6400 and lived to tell the tale. There are heavy days when Kim wonders, can this image be brought back from the brink? And the answer, found deep within, is always the same. You must. Yes, others save lives, but Kim saves the moments that would have otherwise vanished forever. And perhaps that is what keeps humanity alive.
What's up, friends? I hope you enjoyed that little film about Kim and her very serious photography taking skills, because we all know photo and video makers, we're saving the world one frame at a time. If you're looking at this and you're thinking, this looks a little different, why is it so wide? Why does it kind of look a little different? Well, my friends, today we are filming on an anamorphic lens. Not just any anamorphic lens, the Blazar Beetle. In this video, I want to share with you 3 things that I think are pretty special and unique about this tiny little anamorphic lens. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, what is an anamorphic lens? It's a specific type of lens used mostly for filmmaking on very big productions or to make your film or video have a very specific look. Right now I'm shooting on a 45mm lens. So what that means is the height up and down here is 45 mils, but the anamorphic stretches out the image and uses more of a lens to squeeze more information onto a sensor. That's kind of my layman term way to explain what an anamorphic lens does. What it also does is creates very unique characteristics in your bokeh and background. Most people love anamorphic lens for their oval shape in their bokeh, in lights and little flickers of light and different things in the background, rather than a circle on a spherical lens, a circular lens. Anamorphic lenses have an oval bokeh, which kind of squeezes things together and gives a very unique look in your background. So I just want to share 3 things that are very unique and interesting about this lens set that I bought with my own money from Blazar. First thing you want to know about these lenses is that they are budget anamorphic lenses. It's just under $1,100 US for the 3 lens kit. That's pretty sweet. They come in a 32mm, a 45mm, and a 65mm with a fixed T-stop of 3.2. If you don't know what a T-stop is, it's an actual mathematical formulation from the front of your lens to the back of the lens, which gives the speed of a lens, which is different than an f-stop, which sometimes isn't always accurate. So a T-stop, when it says it's 3.2, it's 3.2, it's 3.2, it's 3.2. So this lens is a 1.33 crop, which is perfect for a 16:9 or a 35mm sensor. I'm shooting on the Canon C70 and the Canon R5C, which have those types of sensors. And if you're looking at anamorphic lenses on a 16:9 or a 35mm sensor, a 1.33 up to a 1.5 is kind of like your sweet spot for an anamorphic lens before it gets too wide and unusable. If you want to go into past that, you really should be shooting on a camera that can shoot open gate, which is a whole other discussion. Now, let's look at some of the footage, the things that people want to see, aka the bokeh, and of course, the flares. If you love anamorphic, you know you love the flares.
Yeah.
The one thing I love about this set is that the bokeh looks very nice to me anyways, and the flares, they're my favorite thing. If you looked at other anamorphic or budget anamorphic lenses, they have a very blue or very orange flare to them. Some people love those things. If you're J.J. Abrams, that's your favorite thing in the whole entire world. But if you're like me, I love neutral flares. They take the characteristic and the color of the lights that are around them. So if you have a blue light, the flares are going to flare blue. If you have an orange light, it's going to flare orange. If you have the sunlight, it'll be a nice kind of white, yellowish kind of look. I love the idea of neutral flares in an anamorphic lens. Number 2, they're marketing this as a video and photo anamorphic lens, but it does come with a catch on the photo side. There is an issue for me on that because on my Canon camera, I can set an anamorphic look on the back of my monitor and on top of my screen here, where I can do a 1.33 squeeze, which is squeezing it down and stretching it out the way it should look. When you're shooting photo, you're shooting on a 16:9 35mm sensor. The other problem with that is that Lightroom and a lot of editing software for photos outside of Photoshop doesn't let you do an anamorphic de-squeeze within the program easily. What you're gonna have to do is export your photos into Photoshop into a format that is widescreen 1.33 in order to de-squeeze manually, where you're cropping it out or squeezing it out or pulling it out in order to do that, and then transporting it back into Lightroom to do your final edits. It's gonna be a little bit of a headache, but for those that are wanting to have their photos have a different look, different than their spherical or photo lenses, this might be a very cool option. And number 3, which I think is the most unique part about this lens, is it shoots both horizontal and vertical anamorphic, because it has this very unique feature where you can press a button and it turns the lens. And if you're shooting vertically, rather than having your horizontal flares and your horizontal and vertical bokeh flipping around and looking vertical flares and horizontal bokeh, you can turn it so your lens is actually in the right orientation for a vertical and horizontal bokeh and flare to look correctly when you're shooting vertically. What does that mean? Let me show you. So who is this lens for? Well, let me tell you, it is for people like me who can't afford a $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $20,000 anamorphic lens. It's for content creators who shoot a lot of vertical content, who want their footage to look different or separate themselves from other content creators out there just using an iPhone or the regular spherical photo lenses. Because you can twist this lens into vertical to still have those characteristics of an anamorphic lens shooting vertically, it's going to add a lot of cool flavor and a lot of spice and a lot of differentness to the way that you shoot video and present it online. Is this lens for everybody? Absolutely not. Is this for someone who wants to shoot anamorphic but is on a budget? 100%. So I hope this video has been helpful. I am loving these lenses so far. I might bump up to the Blazar Mantis, which is their next step up in anamorphic budget lenses, and I can't wait to try those if I do get my hands on them. But for right now, this Beetle set is teeny tiny. I love the way it works. I love the vertical shooting that you can do for content creation, because I do a lot of that online for myself and for other people's, and I think other people. And I think this is going to be a fun lens to use. It's going to make people ask, hey, why does that look different? It's because you're shooting anamorphic.